there, and sure enough, there was a fuel shut off.
Huh.
Turned it on, the boat started. And
Oh,
that
nice.
was my moment. I said, I would like to apply for a job next summer. And that was it. You know, that was how I stayed on the lake.
Yeah, nice.
And he was the one after, let's see, that when I was 16. So 50 years for me. I'm 66 today. But he was the one
Public comments now?
that when he left and he bought Pilot Knob Marina, and he called me up around Thanksgiving time when I was taking business administration at ACC, and I just got married to my high school sweetheart, and I was putting linseed oil on old trunks, thinking, you know, that was going to be a living, but it wasn't.
Okay.
He said, I'd like you to be my assistant manager. And I
Nice.
just about fell to the floor. I was 21.
Then you got up again.
I got up again and I went to my first day of work. I was on December 1st, roughly. And up in Pilot Knob, you know, he had a ton of wooden boats, and it was just him and I.
Mhm.
Wooden boats in the shop. And he pointed to one, he said, I want you to scrape and paint the bottom of that boat.
Nice.
So I worked my way from the bottom up.
So I would like to call this public hearing to order, please. And I would ask Ally to read the notice of public hearing.
Notice is hereby given that a public hearing pursuant to Article 18-A of the New York State General Municipal Law will be held by the counties of Warren and Washington Industrial Development Agency on the 28th day of September 2021 at 4:00 p.m. local time via Zoom at the meeting information below, in accordance with legislation S5001/A 4001, amending subpart A, parts BB of chapter 56 of the law of 2001 in connection with the following matter at Zoom link. Boats by George Incorporated, a business corporation established pursuant to the laws of the state of New York, having an address of 18 State Route 149, Lake George, New York 12845, has submitted an amended application requesting that the agency provide financial assistance in the form of payment in lieu of taxes, a mortgage recording tax exemption, and sales tax abatements regarding a tourism destination to consist of the acquisition by the agency of a leasehold interest in certain real estate property located at 2200 State Route 9 in the town of Lake George, County of Warren, New York. The planning, design, renovation, operation, and maintenance by the company of an approximately 50,000 plus or minus square foot facility to be used by the company as a boat showroom, boat storage space, and office space. The acquisition of and installation in tangible personal property with the land and improvements, and entering into a straight lease transaction of section 854 of the act pursuant to the agency will retain a leasehold interest in the facility for a period of time and sublease such interest in the facility back to the company, all pursuant to Title I of Article 18-A of the General Municipal Law of the State of New York, Chapter 862 of the laws of 1971 in the State of New York. The agency may be providing financial assistance with respect to the project in the form of sales tax exemptions related to the construction and equipping of the project facility, a mortgage recording tax exemption on eligible mortgages, and a payment in lieu of taxes which are consistent with the policies of the agency. Should other financial assistance be requested, it shall be consistent with the policies of the agency. A representative of the agency will be in attendance at the above stated time and place to hear and accept written comments from all persons with views in favor of or opposed to the granting of financial assistance contemplated by the agency or the location or nature of the facility. The amended application of the company is available for public inspection during normal business hours at the offices of the agency located at 5 Warren Street in Glens Falls, New York, 12801. Minutes of the hearing will be made available to all necessary parties.
Thank you very much, Ally. Appreciate it. Good job. So if people remember, we did have a public hearing on this before. His request for assistance has changed. We're required to have another public hearing. And I know I open for comments. Do you have there was one public comment to be read in? Rick Gibbet? I got it here someplace I can find it. So while I'm doing it, any questions on this to talk about? Any questions on the project?
Are there any changes from when we reviewed it last time?
The only changes were, I believe that the total project cost dropped a few $1,000s. The amount of sales tax increased. The mortgage tax abatement was a little bit less. Payment in lieu of taxes I believe was increased. So there's 3 changes.
But nothing structurally, nothing about the whole intent of what he's doing.
No. Except his wife came in and helped him make some decisions on things.
Brought the price back up.
So I have a submission public comment. Public comment was from Peter McDivitt. Peter McDivitt says, I am a resident of Glens Falls and a Warren County supervisor. I support the agency proposal for financial assistance submitted by Boats by George Incorporated. The proposal will create needed business activity and sales tax generation. In addition, will generate activity in the winter months. Yours respectfully, Peter McDivitt. So I had that comment. That was the only comment we received so far. I was trying to look to see if we got any public comment on the website. There is no comment on the website so far. Do we have any other comments on the project? Questions? Any further comments on the project? Any further questions on the project? Having asked 3 times and heard no response, I will close this public hearing at, what time is it? 4:09 p.m. Thank you. Now in order of business, we have a special meeting. I would like to call this meeting to order. A special meeting. And would Ally please take attendance?
Craig Leggett,
Here.
Brian Campbell,
Here.
Ginny Sullivan. Here. Mike Grasso,
Present.
Dan Bruno,
Here.
Mary King,
Here,
Dave O'Brien.
Here. Oh,
7.
we have a quorum. So you were submitted the resolution to accept a project for Boats by George to provide financial assistance and tax incentives to the project. I would ask for a motion to accept that project.
I'll move it.
Moved by Mr. Grasso. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Bruno, any further comments, discussion? All in favor, and I'll ask for a roll call, please.
Craig Leggett,
Aye.
Brian Campbell,
Yes.
Ginny Sullivan,
yes,
Mike Grasso,
Yes.
Dan Bruno,
Yes.
Mary King,
yes,
Dave O'Brien.
Yes. Carried. We did it again, George.
Thank you very much.
Now it's up to the attorneys.
Yeah. They got to get it done, but Matt Steves, they need that certified survey, and I called him this morning or yesterday, and they're up there today.
Nice. I hope he's as good with mine because I need a survey for meets and bounds for a project over at the other IDA park. So good,
They had something going on that they had some time, so
nice.
I'm gonna get us done.
I'll call Bob Holmes and let him know. So congratulations. Any questions?
I don't,
I think you know how to get a hold of me.
I'm sure I'll be hearing from you.
Okay, good. Next order of business is we've come into a couple situations where we have gotten invoices prior to the next board meeting. That in one case, it was an insurance certificate payment. And another was we get credit card. Now we have a credit card. We get credit card statements earlier. I was intending just to ask for approval to pay one invoice, but I thought it'd make more sense if there is to ask for a motion to allow us to pay bills for common items such as credit cards or insurance or ordinary items who must be paid before the next meeting. To avoid finance charges or termination of services. Sometimes Spectrum ends up doing that too, but looking at it, so that's what I'd ask for. There's just a blanket so we can pay any invoices prior to the next board meeting. Only for those that come due prior to the meeting and doing something else would cause us to go in default or accrue interest.
I'll make that motion.
Dan Bruno made the motion. Brian Campbell says a second.
Brian has his hand up.
Brian,
Yeah, Dave, basically you should be asking that we pay utilities and credit cards and things like that out of audit.
okay,
Should be the real policy.
okay.
I mean, maybe we should specify so that we just don't make it so broad that everything's getting paid out of audit. I mean, you might want to specify them. I don't know exactly, but that's all you're asking to do is pay them outside the audit process. They still go through the audit. They're just paid in advance.
They're still going to just paid in advance. Kara, how should we word that? What did you hear Dan Bruno word that as?
I thought it was fairly clear, but go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we spoke that I think you're gonna limit it to those items that are like standard monthly payments that you are not out of the ordinary payments that you get. But I think if you're gonna have a standard expense for utilities, rent, things like that, those can be paid in advance and outside of the review process. I think credit card, you're gonna have to maybe limit that dollar amount in case there's something that you need to put on the credit card that's out of the ordinary expense.
Does the credit card have a limit already?
Credit card has a limit of 5,000. So, I mean, I don't see much coming in there.
Well, it's not the limit, it's the monthly payment on the credit card, which I would think would not be $5,000.
Right,
Well,
right.
my point was if the limit is 5,000, then,
Right.
I mean,
Pay the whole thing.
what's the difference?
Yeah, and I wasn't trying to step on any toes. I haven't, I've been so caught up in budget stuff. I haven't really reviewed much material. I just got out of a meeting to get onto this one, so
Yeah.
I wasn't going there.
Yeah, I was right about time of the meeting, wasn't I, Brian?
You sure were.
At our regular, our organizational meeting at the beginning of every year there, we have a resolution authorizing payment of claims prior to audit.
Yeah.
And it lists there, for example, resolved authorization is given for payment of utilities, postage, and other similar expenses as the bills come in and previous to audit. So it just gives that authorization on things, so.
That's kind of where I was going, Craig. We have the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, as long as Kara's comfortable with the motion on the floor that we pay up to $5,000 for normal bills, utilities, anything that is not extraordinary.
That's fine. I think your monthly expenses, your general expenses.
Mhm. Okay. So, okay, so that's a motion Dan made. We have a second. All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Carrie? We got notice from, Carrie, you can take this one. We got notice from the Fort Edward PDC's attorney. And would you please fill the board in on what we got?
We got a notification that the Attorney General's office has consented to the dissolution. That dissolution approval or consent has been transmitted to the court for their sign off, which appears to be a procedural step. Since they're in improvement or they're in agreement and have consented, the AG and the Fort Edward LPDC is in agreement and the IDA is in agreement. This will be a procedural step to move forward with that. The Fort Edward LPDC attorney is in the process of preparing closing documents to get to us for review. And yeah, I don't think there's any other administrative steps that need to be undertaken with respect to the AG or the court.
Okay. I think there's some things that Kara recommended.
Oh, yeah.
First was title insurance. I guess the question is on the amount. We're going to check with Mike to see if he could still write that.
Yeah, he can. So he had prepared the commitment for WL Plastics. Typically the way title insurance works is that when you purchase the property, the buyer purchases title insurance for the purchase price. So then your coverage would be whatever that purchase price is. Here we have a $1 purchase price. So, it doesn't make sense to buy that. Well, that's not even available, but we would need to come up with some amount that you want to have title insurance for, what the value of that is. So it has to be based on some reasonable, amount. It could be the assessed value of the property. It could be the appraised value of the property. I mean, you could look at some other components to get what that value. I mean, it could be the outstanding taxes. That'd be pretty expensive. Title, we've reviewed title before when WL Plastics was purchasing, and there's no real concerns, but considering the fact that you'd be looking to sell this likely in the future, you would want to have some sort of policy in place to provide to a potential buyer of the property.
So, I mean, based on some discussions I've had and Mike has had with the real estate broker, they think that the assessed value is out of line with the current value of the project until some improvements are done. I sort of like the idea of doing it, what taxes do, that's about $1.1 million. Does that make sense, Kara?
Yeah, I mean, I can get you quotes on that because that's how the premiums are priced. They're based on the amount of the coverage, and then that's based on the location in New York State where we're in, what the premiums are set at.
Okay.
I don't know if I have.
Well, you can look at it and get back to me.
Yeah, I can get you a quote on that.
And I can send out the board to make sure they're okay with it.
Yeah, but Dave, what is it we're really trying to cover? We don't think there's anything outstanding because we've looked before.
Right.
I think you want a reasonable value on it just so when people look, they don't say, well, you don't even think it's worth nothing. So maybe that's a contributing factor. I don't know. But is this something we would change as we get more money invested into it? I mean, so that we don't lose our asset because of something in the title, or
Title insurance is a one-time purchase. to protect your interests, you would have it in place for the length of the ownership.
So what does it do, Karen? I guess that's what I don't understand. If I have insurance and it's only for 100,000, it doesn't make the title absolutely mine. I just get 100,000 at the end or 100,000 to fight to keep it. How's that work?
No, you have 100,000 in coverage. So if in this case, in this particular case, the title policy would have a exception in it for taxes, for the outstanding taxes, because that's a lien on title. So that would be an exception. So you couldn't go and make a claim with the title company and say, look, we took this property subject to all these taxes. We didn't think there were taxes on it. We want to fight this. If there were some sort of, I'll be completely honest with you, a lot of the reasoning for title insurance is due to human error in the recording and things of that nature, particularly with e-filing during COVID. There's been a lot of issues and things of that nature. So what it would cover is it would cover you for say 100,000 if you had a claim up to 100,000. So say we look at title, there's no mortgages of record. A year later, somebody says, I have this mortgage, here it was misindexed, it's for 150,000. You would be covered with insurance for up to 100,000.
So there's really no exposure here for us anyway. Am I right?
Well, I don't know. I mean, for the reasons I just said, the last we reviewed title was when WL Plastics was under contract to purchase the property.
And there was nothing there then, and DEC took it before that. I mean, who could be left?
I mean, it could be anything that's filed against it could be anything between Fort Edward LPDC and WCC or any of those things, anything that's like misindexed or anything of that nature. I mean, it's totally your call. It's an optional purchase. You're not required by law to purchase it unless there's a lender. And then the lender requires it. But it's optional. I could get you quotes. You can decide. I can circulate the WL policy that was previously prepared. It's not a final policy. It's just a report from what the search disclosed at that time.
Just to be safe, why don't you do that? Why don't we just at least know what a policy costs and do it at that level, the level that David talked about, $1 million level. And I don't think it's going to be that expensive, probably maybe around $5,000, but why don't you get us quotes?
Okay.
Dan?
I agree with Mike. I'd like to hear some quotes, some numbers first, and then make a determination going forward from there.
Okay, good idea. Okay, she'll get us some quotes. We'll talk about next meeting. We're not gonna get this underway that quickly, but we're moving on it. There was something else. Oh, we need a resolution to go forward with the deed acceptance. We did this once, but Craig?
So moved.
Moved by Craig. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Brian. Roll call on this one, please. This is just the acceptance of the property.
Craig Leggett,
I have a question.
Hold on, Dan's got a question.
What, just brief me, are there any covenants, encumbrances, restrictions, what have you, on this property? I know.
All that is disclosed in the title report. So I can circulate the report that WL had prepared, but that's just going to be as of the date. I mean, I don't know if anything else was subsequently filed after that. I mean, there are going to be some filings because we took over the road and things like of that nature. So that would pop up, but I can send you that to see so you can review what's there.
I was just curious. I don't recall whether there are any restrictions as to what the property could be used for, that sort of thing. In other words, if
Well,
we're
there
taking
was
it-
to the wharf, right?
What's that?
There was a restriction to the wharf, right?
That's what I was gonna say. I recall.
And I don't know, is that still in place? Is that-
The option
Question, Dan.
The option agreement is still in place. The other things in place is there are right-of-ways, easements allowing traffic around the site so people can get from one property to another. So it's like a road around the outside of the park. So people get to the rail, people can get to their properties on the other side, people get all the way through to the railroad yard. Those are the only encumbrances that I know of. And those all came from WL days. There's also an easement that allows us to go across WCC property out through down by the old little rail building out onto East Street.
Right, that's what I recall. WCC retains some rights or limits to, what was it, the wharf?
Yes.
There's 11 acres of wetland there that they have an option on, a 20-year option on. I don't know if they'll execute or not execute it. I think just having the option on there gives them the leg up to say that if anyone wanted to come in there and do something, Kara can explain it.
I don't know the reasoning why they had that option, but I mean, whatever agreement they had between themselves that they decided to put that option in place. As far as, I think it had to do, to be honest, maybe with like accessing the property. Which I don't know if that remains an issue now that with the road situation, but
Isn't there a restriction with respect to someone else coming in and producing or shipping something that's in competition with WCC or whatever they are?
yeah, right.
Figured it was about, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it's about.
Okay,
And I've spoken, they're more than willing to provide access to anyone as long as they're asked. They just want people running across there.
okay, and then I'll be quiet, but do they also who controls that wharf there, that canal? side?
Valcorp.
Canal Corp controls that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So, okay, back to the motion. Roll call, please.
Craig, I'll start over. Craig Leggett,
Well, now that I've had time to think about it.
Don't you
Yes,
know?
Brian Campbell,
Yes.
Kenny Sullivan,
Yes.
Mike Grasso,
Yes,
Dan Bruno,
Yes,
Mary King,
Yes.
Dave O'Brien.
Yes. Okay, I have more on this. So Carrie, we'll proceed with that. I'll keep you informed on what's going on. Next, I'd like to say something because I want to make sure people understand this, and Kara can reinforce this. When the IDA takes title or is in the jurisdictional role of property, that piece of property automatically, by law, becomes tax exempt. So this is an issue we run into in a circumstance we've had that they're claiming we don't. But according to Gentleman's Municipal Law 412A, the IDA, once they're in the jurisdictional line of title, that property is tax exempt. There are some caveats to that. But I'll let Kara take that and explain what those caveats are. But I think I was surprised that a couple of people I talked to didn't understand that.
Well, I guess I'm not sure what the question is you're in the context, because you couldn't operate a proprietary purpose there, and the assessor's office could create a taxing component of it, just like a municipal run golf course or things of that nature, airport, etc. I guess I'm not really sure what your question is.
Well, the question is that all our IDA property at the park, that's all tax exempt, correct?
Your IDA, yeah, in the IDA parks, etc. Yeah.
The second thing is the road we have to the dewatering facility, that's all tax exempt,
Correct.
that the IDA owns.
Right.
So when we take the dewatering facility that's currently tax exempt, that will remain tax exempt.
Correct.
Okay? Now, when we do a project, when we sign that project up and we get in the chain of title, that's what makes the that property tax exempt. Correct? And then we make a pilot agreement to payment in lieu of taxes on that piece of property.
Yeah, in concept.
I mean, there are exceptions, don't get me wrong, but for the most part,
The comptroller's office has issued an opinion indicating that so long as an IDA has jurisdiction and control over the premises, that it can grant its tax exemption status to other entities, which is what we do when we have a project.
right. And then that's when we do the payment in lieu of taxes to pay in lieu of taxes.
Right.
And I
That
just-
said, if there's a project there and we don't file that, they will assess, the municipalities will assess that property because there's a project on, if we don't we have to notify them of that.
Right, and it's really not an approval process by law, right? It's more of here's acknowledgement that we took possession of the property and here's your notification.
That's our position.
Okay. So I was just surprised that someone said, we were talking about a couple of things and they didn't understand that that property was tax exempt. I was talking about specifically about the road and specifically about the IDA park, so. I just wanted to clarify that. Okay, next, we have two interested parties on the dewatering, in the dewatering facility. One has asked for an option letter. Another has, wants to bring their financing people down. We are having a meeting with the company tomorrow to get more understanding of what exactly the project is, how it will fit in. Thursday. Oh, tomorrow's Wednesday, no, Thursday. How it fits in, and that we're going to set up a process how to get there. They are running 5 projects. They're building 5 projects and got one in New York State down in the Catskill. This will be their second one. The project looks to be somewhere between $80 to $100 million, bringing 60 or more jobs to Port Edward. So that's exciting. The other one, I'm a little bit more blurry about the circumstances, but it seems to be they're both in the sort of the same recycling area. So we'll see. I know that the company we're meeting with on Thursday is very ready to go. They've asked us for documents. So I will keep you informed about what's going on. I will say that I'm going to ask for help from certain people. One of the conditions is to try and get sewer in there for them. The second is natural gas. So we're going to start working on those. So I'll be tapping some people to help us out on that area. Setting a meeting with the sewer so we can figure out, can we get to a point where we can put this in place? How we're going to pay for it's another matter, but that until we get the engineering study, we're not going to understand exactly what's there. So if you get a call, you can ask for help. I will tell you there are more other projects regarding this that have to be done. So this is another WL. Not in terms of what their product is going to be, but the cycle we're going through.
When you say the cycle they're going through,
Well, they're going to have to go for their DEC approvals. They're going to have to go for their planning board approvals. They're going to have to go for their phase 1 and phase 2 environmental. Even though we already have the phase 1 and phase 2 environmental for WO Plastics, which graciously let us use those. least as a basis to start from. We do have a lot of subdivision documents that WL Plastics had done before, so there's a leg up on there. So there's a lot of other documents that they've had that we're providing, which should help them get a leg up. They think that the DEC approval process will be 8 to 9 months. They are looking to be up and running in 18 months.
Wow.
So also looking for the full range of benefits, plus additionally potential tax exempt bonds.
Sounds exciting.
So, but we will also be going forward with CBRE. I'm not going to let one or two get in there because it can go away very quickly, as we found out. One facility wants 10 acres plus, I believe, the big building. The other facility wants the same big building and another building, so we'll see what happens with it and what the choices are. So,
Might I caution you that once you sign up with a real estate listing, you owe it, even if you bring in the project, which, you know, you're doing all the work, bringing in the project, and you got to pay 5%.
Yeah, but isn't that only true after you've signed up with them? In other words, if you bring something in prior to engaging them, you don't owe them anything.
That's correct.
well, I understand your concern, Mike. I have another way of looking at that. We misfired on this property's been misfired on several times. In my opinion, even we pay a 3% or 6% on that, and we get this closed finally and get it productive, it is important. I may be wrong, you may think differently, but we're not in this to make a profit, so to speak. We're in this to get this reused and doing it. So if they have 80 acres, if we have 80 acres, they take 10 acres, we still have to market the rest of the property.
You better word the you better word that there's an addendum in the listing agreement. You better word it that way, that we can parcel it out,
Mhm.
and it shouldn't be more than 5%.
I agree.
Well, they are going to do all our marketing materials for us for down there too.
That's all right. That's okay. They're
Okay.
expected to do that.
Okay, well, we'll work on it.
I just listed a $3.5 million building at 5%, and they're doing the marketing materials.
Okay.
So
Okay, good. Any other discussion on that? All right, I don't have anything else. I will adjourn this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah.
Big day.
You too.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed it.
You sound so freaking disappointed.
Can I see my sticky? What did I put underneath? Is that important to me?
258.52, wasn't that due on the credit card?
Oh, yeah, just in case they asked. And then it was due on 10/8. I just wanted to make sure I had all my answers. Oh, yeah, just in case they asked. Can I see that email from that